So welcome to the Achieve Upgrade training. We want to make sure we get your questions answered and help you have a successful start with using Achieve. But first, I want to just take a minute and talk about why the move. So when you think about a house that you've lived in for a long time, something that is comfortable to you, but often you start looking and thinking that there may be some changes you wanted to make or some updates, but perhaps those updates, those remodels are going to cost too much. The changes you want to make may just not even be possible. And so you decide it's necessary to make a move, to change and move to a bigger residence and to build that residence. So when you want to get that residence, you want to make sure it's built on a solid foundation. You're looking to have something that's a little more energy efficient, that has room to expand and adapt as you grow. And all that's very important. And so as you're building this new home, you do so and make sure all those things are built in and something that really is going to be what you need it to be going forward. So that's a little bit like our move from Sapling to Achieve. In Sapling, there were changes we wanted to make that just weren't possible. There were parts of Sapling we really love and are really effective in our working with our students. And so we wanted to make sure we brought those pieces over to our new home in Achieve. Our new home Achieve is built on a solid foundation of learning science. Each decision was carefully tested and brought about, bringing in many reviewers, students, and instructors alike, and really making it a little more energy efficient to make it more mobile friendly, more mobile compatible, and also allowing us to make additional improvements and changes as we go along. Some of those we've already been able to make, which I'll mention as we go through today, but it's really going to be a much better place for us while we've taken some of those great things from Sapling to move on. So to get started, let's take a little tour around our home first. We're going to talk about the Achieve fundamentals. Then we're going to get into migrating our Sapling assignments or copying them over from Sapling to Achieve. And then we'll get into a Q&A and get all those questions that you have answered. So first off, I'm going to come here to my course list within Achieve. And if you log into Achieve, the first place you'll come to is your course list. And most likely you will see some courses here. They'll probably say copy of Achieve Essentials for Introductory Chemistry or a copy of Principles of Macroeconomics, different titles that you've been given access to. Now, most of those are going to be under the draft courses. And all that means is the term dates have not been set yet. And as soon as those term dates are set, that course then comes to be a current course and is not a draft course anymore. So we'll go over that. If you are just going to be teaching a single course, then you may just want to use one of the courses that is already here. You can change the title and add those term dates by clicking on the course settings menu here on the right and clicking edit course. Maybe you've messed around with one of these courses or you want it as a sandbox. You can leave that as is. But either way, I'm going to walk through the process of creating a new course today. So up here at the top, you're going to click create a new course. From here, you'll see a list of course templates that you have access to. Now, if you look at this list and you do not see the list or you don't see your title added to this list, then make sure you reach out to your local rep and they can give you access to the Achieve course that you need. For our course today, we're going to choose Interactive General Chemistry. I'm going to click Select Template. And here is the first choice you have. If you're just teaching a single course, one section, you can go ahead and click on this. I'm just teaching one individual course, and that will create a new course for you. What we're going to do today is we are going to create a section manager, which is equivalent to a parent course. And then from there, we're going to create individual sections. So this is best if you're teaching multiple sections of a single course. Maybe you're setting up a course for additional TAs or instructors to be enrolled in. Those are situations when you're going to want to create a section manager and then create the individual sections from that section manager. So we're going to go through that process. Individual course is simple. We'll go through those same steps, but I want to make sure I talk to everyone about creating the multiple sections. So after we select that, we're going to click Next, Set Course Info. So the course name, this can be the title of your course. It can be you can add your semester, you can add your last name, things like that to differentiate your course from other courses. Now, we won't be adding section number or things at this point, unless you've chosen to just do an individual course. But let's go ahead and title our course here. We'll go General Chemistry, Chem 101. We're going to say this is for fall of 21. And then we're also going to stick a last name in there. And that way that distinguishes and helps you keep track of your courses. Now our course code, we'll put this in here as well. And then you're also going to be putting in your institution. So if you want to type that in here, your institution will pull up. You can select it here. I'm going to choose Macmillan Learning. Adjust your term date as appropriate, and then your start date. This is going to be the day that you want students to have access to Achieve. So you may start a few days later, but this will be the day when you want students to be able to register and access Achieve. And then you also have the term end date. And this is the last day that students would have access. There is an option here at the bottom to allow access after the term date. Again, that's an instructor decision up to you. So next, we're going to talk about course permission. So we've created our section manager, and now we're going to decide what type of individual sections we want to create. So I recommend everybody starting with these restricted access sections. So what that means is when you create your individual sections, they're going to be linked to the section manager. And every change you make to those section manager will then filter down to those individual sections. Now, the individual sections, you can still change things like due dates, point values, things like that, but you're not going to be able to change more global settings or content-wise as far as is adding additional content or creating things. That would be done on the section manager side. Again, this is best if you're going to be the one teaching all the sections, or if you want to be the one to regulate what's being taught and keep things a little more uniform across the sections of other instructors teaching. Now, in some cases, you may want to create full access sections. And what this does is it will create essentially a copy from the section manager, and then you can make all the changes that you would in a section manager. The downside to this is any additional changes you make from that section manager will not filter down to the individual full access section. So I recommend starting here with restricted access. You can always turn those into full access later, but restricted access gives you more flexibility when you're first starting off and creating your course. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next, Create Section Manager. Now you'll see right here at the top, this is what we just created, and let's go ahead and take a look. So when we first open up our section manager, or if you've opened up an individual course, you have the option to start with a pre-built course or essentially start from scratch. So starting with a pre-built course gives you a framework, typically chapter by chapter, that's the exact same setup as your title or your book that you're using. And that gives you the structure to start with, curated content, and gives you a good jumping off point. I recommend starting with a pre-built course. You can still edit, take things away, add things to, but this gives you a good starting point. Now, you do have the option of starting with a clean slate. Maybe you want to keep things really simple and create a single homework folder with just your sapling assignments from it. You could do that as well and just start directly from here, browsing our library of content. And that would be a good way to go. I'm going to start here with a pre-built course, and we're going to circle back around to the start from scratch in just a minute, and then you'll be able to see that view as well. So here we have my pre-built course. I have each of my individual chapters laid out, and I can open up my chapters, and there you're going to have some curated content. Now this differs title by title, but you have selected assignments that have been specially selected for each chapter as the most used or most helpful resources inside your Achieve course. Now you can obviously take some of these resources out, you can leave them hidden, you can add additional ones, but again, this gives you a good starting point with where we're at. So the first thing I want to point out is the homework. If we pull this up, this is going to be what seems most familiar. This is our favorite wall decor or home furnishings from our old house. We moved into our new one. Here we have our classic sapling homework that has been imported into Achieve, and we've added a few things already to this. But basic functionality works just the same. You can preview the questions. You can remove things from your assessment. You can go from question to question. You can also review feedback here, the additional solutions, all of that you're accustomed to see here, including the wrong answer feedback, is all built in and still here within Achieve. A couple things that we've added here. Number one, the ability to favorite a question. So the most used case scenario that I'm excited for is you want to create a quiz and you want to pull a number of questions from each of your homeworks that you've had. So what you can do is you can click on your questions here, highlighting that heart. And then when you go to create your quiz, all of those favorited questions will show up and they'll be really easy to add to that quiz. Again, these will pull up in a separate filter and you can use them a variety of ways, but something new that we've added here already within Achieve. Something else that we've added are additional question types when you are creating your own questions. So previously in Sapling, we were just limited to multiple choice and numeric entry. Now we have additional question types here: free response, multiple select, multiple choice plus. This allows you to create a series of multiple choice questions, all related to a single image, for example, or question stem. So you've got some great additional question types that are already available here in Achieve that we didn't have before. Again, we have the question bank here. You're able to go through the questions, add questions to your assessment, create pools of questions. And again, you'll see the ability to copy questions and edit those copies as questions. So again, something new that's available now for all of our questions, well, most of our questions here, the ability to copy and edit them too. So some of those are some of those things we've added already to Achieve. We're excited to continue to add additional features and functionality, but also wanted to let you know that the key classic homework here is is available to use, and you'll be able to use these additional features and functionality as well with your previous sapling assignments that you may want to migrate over into Achieve. So let's talk a minute about assigning things in Achieve. And when I say assign, I mean something that you want the students to complete by a certain date to have the potential to earn a certain point value that's going to be in the gradebook. So you can do that a few different ways. Number one, up here, we can click on Assign Item. So this is if you are in an actual assignment. Up there in the right-hand corner, you'll always have that Assign Item. You can make this available to students. So just have it visible as a resource. You saw that it was initially hidden, or you can choose to assign to students. So that's what we're going to do today. You need to pick a due date and a point value for your homework. You can adjust student visibility as well. So if you want to make it visible for the entirety of the course, or only visible for a certain number of days before the due date, or select a specific date range, you have control over that. If you come down here, you also can change the gradebook category. We'll get into adding additional gradebook categories in a moment. Also, if you're one to set up or organize a class with pre-class, in-class, and post-class assignments, you have the option to tag every assignment that way, and you'll be able to run some insights and reports based off of those types of assignments if you choose. And then last option here are grading settings. These are the settings you're used to within your sapling course, and you have the option to choose, again, from the template, create new, again, from this screen. You'll also have that ability to set up those additional templates before you get to assign things. So let's click Save Changes for now. And up here at the top, you'll see it's now switched to due date, Friday, August 13th. Okay, I'm going to come back to my Chapter 2 folder. And what you'll see here is it's now assigned, has the due date, point value is visible, all ready to go. Learning Curve is another popular resource within our Achieve platform. Many of you may have used it in sapling as well. And if you don't want to click into each resource to assign it, you can also click on the calendar here and bring you to the same page where you can assign your assignments and save those. Now, one more thing I want to point out when we're talking to assignments. Sometimes a student needs extra time on a specific assignment. And what you need to do then is come to Create Student Exception. And once you create that student exception, you'll be able to choose the additional due date for that particular student. You can add multiple students at once, have them all have the same additional due date, or make extensions student by student. So that's where you come and do that, is back on that assignment screen. So let's go back to our course content. And again, this is our pre-built course. And as a reminder, we are still in our section manager. So we're creating everything that will then be copied over into our individual sections, which we'll get to in just a moment. From our homepage, you'll see we have a little drop down here. This is course content. So this is looking our chapter structure, everything out by unit. We have a couple different options here. So we can also view by assignment. So this breaks things out into past assignments, what's due this week, what's due next week, and then what's due in the future. So this is that default view for the student, so they can see what is upcoming, what they need to be focused on, and where they are at in completing their assignments. One other option here is under resource type. Another way to view your assignments. So you could look at all your assessments or homework here. We have in-class activity guides, files, diagnostics in some courses, and then again, our adaptive quizzes. So maybe what I want to do is I want to assign my adaptive quizzes all together. So rather than clicking individually, calendar by calendar, I'm going to click on View All. And then I'm going to click on, I just want one learning curve per chapter. So I'm going to select my learning curves I want for every chapter. We'll come down here to chapter 10. And then what I'm going to click on is Assign and Edit. So this is how we update things in bulk. Now, what we've done is we've taken the best of our activities and due dates page from Sapling and maybe even made it a little bit better. So from here, what I can do is click on individual due dates. If I want to do that, I can choose each individual due date and go down and select those. Same thing for points. I can do that all one at a time, gradebook categories. But if I want to assign everything all at once, let's click due dates here. And I'm going to sequence my assignments. So starting on Friday the 6th, I want a learning curve due every Friday. So I'm going to leave that at 1 week. I'm not going to change the visibility. Actually, let's make visibility for the entirety of the course. I'm going to click on Save. So then you'll see I have things spaced out once a week. And if you need to make a change to a specific due date, you can still do that and adjust that. But that gives you everything laid out week by week. And then all my points, I decide I want my learning curves to be worth 15 points. So I'm going to save that, and that gets all updated too. You can do the same thing with gradebook categories, but that's just one way to go and assign multiple things all at once so that you have the option of doing things in bulk here. So that's our assignment page, and everything we've done up to this point has been under My Course. So next we are going to click on Resources. Now under Resources, you'll first see here Content Collection. Now right now we are in Interactive General Chemistry. Next list, you'll see Sapling Assessment Import. We're going to get to this in just a moment, but this is where we're going to come back to import our Sapling content into Achieve. First, I wanted to point out a few things under our additional resources. If you are using a Macmillan text, you'll see instructor resources. This will have PowerPoints, clicker questions, additional activity guides, test bank questions, things of that nature. Slightly different for every title, but that's where your instructor resources are going to be. And you'll be able to view or download all of those from here. Also, if you open up a chapter, let's actually just click on all of chapter 2. And most likely what you'll see are various things that are already added to your course. You'll see we have some things that already have due dates, which is great. But then we have some additional items that have not been added to my course. So in some cases, you'll come and find some additional resources that you want your students to complete. So we had a review, and then we think, oh, specifically on subatomic particles, my students need extra help. So I've clicked on 2 additional resources I want to add. So I'm going to come up here to Add to my course. And this lets me choose the folder I want to add them to. Again, this is my pre-built course. I can also create a new unit, but in this case, I'm going to put them in chapter 2. Now we'll come back and take a look at those in a moment, but for right now, I'm just going to continue browsing. So you can filter by chapter. You can also look by resource type. So again, depending on your title, you may find additional resources here that may be helpful for you. Additionally, under resources, this is where you can create your own content. So under My Content, you can select New and then create a new assessment. So that may be a new homework or a review assignment or a quiz or even an exam. You can set that up and then add your favorited questions to it, add additional questions, or create your own. All up to you. You can also upload a file, so JPEG, PDF, Word file, anything you want to have the students be able to access, you can upload it there. Additionally, adding links. So you may have a video link you want there or a specific website you want students to visit. Again, you can add that here under My Content. And keep in mind, everything that you create here, you will then need to add to your course, but that then does live with your account and transitions from course to course. So you always have your custom content with you, no matter where you're at in your Achieve courses. Again, we're coming back to resources once we circle back and talk about migrating sapling assignments. But first, we're going to talk about the gradebook here. So keep in mind, we're still in our section manager, and we'll never have students within our section manager. This is going to be a standalone course where we use to create, deploy assignments, but we're not going to have any students in this course. But you will be able to see your individual homework, everything that you've assigned, the point value, all of that here. Also under gradebook settings, this is where you can add those categories we mentioned before. So I can have a quizzes category. Maybe I also want a participation category. You can have that as well. Within gradebook categories, you can also weight the categories. You can drop the lowest grades for certain categories. Just those types of features and functionality that you expect is all built here within Achieve. Now, one note here, we do have the option to be able to integrate or link Achieve to the main campus learning management system. So Blackboard, Canvas, D2L, Brightspace, and Moodle. So what that means is we can create links to individual assignments within your LMS, and then also have individual gradebook columns in your LMS that mirror your Achieve gradebook. So when students finish an assignment, that grade then syncs with your LMS gradebook, and you can have all of your grades in one place. So we don't have time to go into that in depth. I'm going to send you some follow-up information about that. In addition to if you need additional help, you'll be able to get that too as far as integrating your course. Now, I bring that up here for a couple of reasons. One, grades are one of those big things that it's nice to keep them all in one place. So if you have that ability to link to your LMS, that's a request I get a lot. You won't link your section manager course, but you'll link your individual sections to your individual sections in your LMS, and you'll want to mirror your setup. So if you have multiple courses combined into a single shell in your LMS or a single instance, then you'll want to do the same thing within Achieve. If you have multiple sections in your LMS with students in each individual section, you'll want to link each of those individual sections out to each individual section of Achieve. And then when we talk about gradebook settings, if you are going to link your course, Achieve course, to your LMS, I recommend setting up those gradebook settings within your LMS. There are some things that don't transfer over, and each LMS is a little bit different. But by setting up your gradebook categories, dropping lowest assignments in your LMS, that tends to be the smoothest system for doing that. Okay, well, let's take a look at an individual section. So to do that, what we're going to do is then click on Create Section. So you'll see here's my course setup info. I can edit that if I want, but that all will remain the same for now. And I'm going to set up 3 sections. You can set up more or less. You can also add additional sections later, so you're not tied to this. And you can also delete sections later if you end up, maybe a course doesn't make, or maybe you end up teaching another course. So here with my 3 individual sections, I can then add some additional information for each of those. So I'm going to add my section numbers to them. You could add additional items as well. You can choose to put in your class meeting days. That's optional. That's not mandatory. If you want to do that, you can. You can also add additional instructors at this point to each individual section. So you can do that too. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. And note everything here is restricted access. Again, that gives me the flexibility to push additional changes from my section manager down to my individual sections as I go throughout my setting up and then throughout the semester. Okay, excellent. So we've made our 3 sections, and you'll see right here, I'm still under section manager, and I can see all my 3 sections here. I can also go under courses, and under courses now, you'll see 3 individual courses that I have set up. So let's click on one of these and take a look. So let's take a look from our course content from our homepage. And we'll go look at chapter 2. So here we have our 2 assignments that we assigned in chapter 2. Now, those assignments have the same due dates and point values. Again, if you need to change that, you can come back in here and adjust that due date for that particular assignment. This is a little warning just to let you know that this change is going to only affect the section I'm in. If I wanted to change that due date for all of my sections, I would want to go into that section manager. Again, if I want to create a student exception, I'm going to do that in the individual section that that student is enrolled in and be able to search for their name and put in that additional due date. So let's save changes here. The other thing you'll notice is I have my 2 assignments here that I brought over from resources. So I'm going to, if you want to assign and edit these, you can do that as well. If you wanted to reorder these or move them to a different folder, you could do that as well. But you'll see these are locked out. I would need to go back to my section manager to reorder that. And again, that will do it for all of my sections instead of an individual section. So just to go back to the gradebook here, once your students register, they will appear on the left-hand column of your gradebook. We talked about syncing and exporting. You can do that with an integrated course. You can also just export your gradebook into an Excel file. One other nice thing that we've included here with users who are using a Macmillan text with their Achieve course is the ability to use iClicker for no additional cost to your students. And so what that means is iClicker, which is a student response system. Many students are now using it on their mobile phones or devices. And it's a way to engage students in class. You can also take attendance with that. And just a great tool to keep up student engagement is with iClicker. So the ability to integrate iClicker with Achieve at no additional cost to students is something that you can have for your Achieve course if you're using a Macmillan textbook. So again, we don't have a lot of time to dive into that, but I'll send some more information about that. And if you're interested, you can let me know and we can get you more information on using iClicker inside of Achieve. So next with inside Achieve, we have some great reports, some analytics that a lot of instructors have asked for over the years. and we just haven't been able to use them and implement them. So one here is time on activity versus score. So you can see how long students are taking versus what score they're achieving in a particular assignment. Time on activity versus number of attempts. Learning objectives, assignments to review. So some great things here that gives you some insights into how your students are performing and what changes, if any, you'll need to make for an individual course. Also, from the report standpoint, we have everything broken out by chapter. You can break down reports by individual units and even drill down to individual student performance. So again, giving you the type of data that is being collected from the students interacting with Achieve and delivering that in a way that's actionable and being able to see how the students are doing. So next is the ebook. Again, if you're using a Macmillan text, students will have access to the ebook right here on the left-hand side for their entire course. Now, the addition to this is if you're using an OpenStax textbook, you'll also be able to view it there. Additional textbooks by other publishers, you'll still have access to your homework, but not access to the ebook here. Couple nice things for the ebook. Anything that you highlight is going to be stored in a living, breathing notebook. And you can add notes to this later. You can sort by newest, by oldest, by color. And so it gives you a good study guide as you're working through this from a student perspective. Also, we want to make sure that the ebook is accessible to everyone. So students can have the ebook read to them aloud. Also, we have various display settings to make it comfortable for students to read. So there's those types of things that are built right into the ebook that give that learning ability to people who need it. Our last item here on our menu is our People tab. This will be where you'll see a list of students, their email addresses, and type of access. So when speaking of access to Achieve, students will have access to 2 weeks free trial. Now, within that access, they can then, after that 2 weeks is over, they'll be able to convert that access either by purchasing access directly, buying access through a bookstore, whatever that may be. But that's part of the student registration. Additionally, if you are not connecting to an LMS, you can come here and send students a direct link to your course. There's also an email template that you can send out. And again, this is for instructors who are not going to integrate or link Achieve with their learning management system. Now, if you are going to do that sort of linking, you'll be able to embed a link directly into your LMS, and that will be the link that students are going to click on in order to register. Again, I'll get a little bit more in depth there later on, and with some follow-up information there so you can have that information. But for now, just know if you're not linking, you're going to send students directly to Achieve. This is the place to go to get that specific URL. And as a matter of fact, it's always at the top of your course too. The last alphanumeric code here is exactly what the students need to get into your course. Lastly, what I want to show you here is student preview mode. So if you are going to go in and view anything as a student, you can see exactly what they're going to see. You can see what their progress is. You can see what it's like to view an assignment as a student. So it's a lot more in-depth, realistic view of what the student experiences. And this is a big improvement from where everybody has come from, to be able to see exactly what the students see and even take assignments as a student would. Okay, excellent. Well, that takes us through our Achieve fundamentals. So next, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, is migrating or copying your assignments over to Achieve from Sapling. So first I wanted to talk about, there may be some situations when you may not want to migrate. So number one, maybe you didn't make many changes to the Sapling homework. If you used it pretty much as is, you felt that that fit your learning objectives pretty well, those same Sapling homework assignments are in that pre-built course. So there's no need to bring over your Sapling assignments if you didn't make many changes, or if you use that Sapling template pretty much as is. Again, that's going to be similar to using the pre-built course within Achieve. And then maybe you just want to start fresh. Maybe you decided I want to try something new, a different approach, or evaluate content as I create it. You can start fresh and not worry about migrating your assignments from Sapling. Now, situations when you do want to migrate. You went into your Sapling homework and you changed out a bunch of questions and you're really comfortable with where they're at. You don't want to do that again. Great time to migrate. Maybe you set up your own assignments, whether they're exams or quizzes or reviews. You set those up in Sapling and you don't want to do those again. That's a great time to migrate your content over. And in some situations, when you're using a non-Macmillan text, that template there within Sapling that you use, you'll want to bring over your particular assignments into Achieve to make sure you have it aligned the way that goes with your non-Macmillan textbook. So let's take a look here at Sapling. So I'm going to enter in my Sapling course. And from here, there may be a pop-up. You may have dismissed the pop-up that says, do you want to migrate your assignments to Achieve? Now, if you've taken that pop-up out like I have, you can always get to it under Course Management and then migrate to Achieve. You can also click on that link within the pop-up as well. And that will take you to a list of all of your assignments. Now, you may wonder, did I do this already? Have I not? Over here on the right-hand column, you can see status. And you can say imported to Achieve. So you can see I've already done a good portion of my assignments, but there's still some I haven't done yet. Now, if you're doing this, I recommend migrating everything over all at once, unless you know there's only certain of these assignments that you're actually going to use. And then you can select them one by one. So in my case, I'm going to bring over to Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. And up here at the top, click on Migrate Selected Assessments. And if I scroll down, you'll see a little in progress item here. Now, this is going to transfer over to imported soon, just like that. And just keep in mind, depending on the number of assignments you're migrating, it may take a little bit for them to appear up in your Achieve course. So if you've just done it and they say imported to Achieve and they're not appearing in Achieve quite yet, don't get frustrated. That's something that you can work on and it will be set up and show very shortly. Okay, coming back to my Achieve course here. So what I want to do is let's create a new course. And in this case, what we're going to do is just create a single course here. Actually, let me go back here. I want to select an Achieve Essentials course. Show you the difference here. We're going to set up an individual course and we're just going to get this set up quickly. Again, this is all the same as setting up an individual course. And my end date's going to be in August. So here is my course I just created. Oh, let's see. I think I clicked on the wrong one, didn't I? Go back. Here we go. So I told you what I wanted. I'd show you what it looks like to browse library of content. So we're going to click on that. And if you did start off from scratch, you could still choose any of our assignments down here. I'm going to go straight to sapling assessment imports. Now, one thing to note is all of your imported content lives in your Achieve account. So if you're teaching different courses, then you're still going to have each of your course content under sapling assessment imports. So be sure the source is the right course from where you want to pull that content. So I imported 7 and 8. So let's bring over those assignments here. So I want chapter 7, chapter 8, and chapter 9. We're going to go chapter 10. So I can select all of my imported course material that I want and go through the same process. So I'm still under resources. I can click add to my course. This just confirms that you want to start from scratch. And I'm going to click continue. Now, I don't have any folders set up. So what I'm going to do here is click create a unit for my course. And we're going to call this homework. And from here, I'm adding all those assignments to my homework. So let's go to course content. And now you'll see I've got a homework folder here. And I've got each of my individual assignments set up. And so I can go through and assign these just like we went through before. Selecting all the ones I want to assign, click on assign and edit. I'm going to sequence these assignments again. So this is a little warning that my course is too short or my assignment due dates are outside of my course start and end dates. So I can either change my due dates or I can go and change that end date for when I want those assignments to be done. And then let's just add my point value here and click save and continue. And that's it. That is bringing over my course content from Sapling, copying it over to the homework. I've got that outlined here. Now, each of these homework assignments are going to be the same from your Sapling homework that you imported. You'll have that additional functionality of favoriting questions. Here, you can still write your own custom questions and have access to the question bank, but you'll start off with your Sapling homework questions and your Sapling homework that you created in Sapling and brought over right to Achieve. A couple things to note, this is a non-Macmillan text, so I have a few less items here. I still can get my assignments within resources, my grade book. I don't have a link to reports or to my ebook because those are for Macmillan titles. But again, you have all that same functionality as far as setting things up and doing things within your Achieve course. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you all for staying on with me. We covered a lot we set up our initial course within Achieve. We set up a section manager. We set up our individual sections within our section manager. We worked on setting up our assignments, and then we went into Sapling, migrated over our assignments from Sapling and brought those into Achieve and created additional course within Achieve. So a lot we went into, but what you can see is we've got all of our great content that you previously used in Sapling. We've now moved that into our new home of Achieve with some additional added features and functionality and that room to expand and that great option of having that a new updated interface to work with and still be able to work with our tried and true and classic homework that we really like. So thanks everybody for joining us. Really appreciate it.